Hi, I'm Bob Nystrom.
Hi, this is Bo Dietl.
Hey, this is Rich Big Daddy Salgado.
Hi, this is Doc Goodney, and you're watching Sports Biz.
Sports Biz.
Sports Biz with LD.
Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.
Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis, brought to you by the Rampart Insurance Group. For all your insurance needs, rampartinsurance.com. Easy Pawn Corp, located 15 locations throughout the city. If you have an item and you need cash on hand, Easy Pawn is your place. A1 VIP Entertainment for all your ticket and VIP needs. VIPentertainment.com and 388 Restaurant and Lounge, 388 Willis Avenue in Roslyn, New York. And thanks to the Daily Blue. Without the Daily Blue, we would not be seen. You can always reach me on the Facebook, Sports Biz with LD, my website, sportsbizwithld.com, and at Sports Biz with LD. Let's get right into it. We have on the line Stephen R. Stern from the Stern Esquire Law Group. Stephen, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm doing very well. And Stephen, calling from Europe, I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. You know that. Sports is the top with anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Well, let's get right into it. We have you on. Let's get right into the Adrian Peterson case with the commissioner jumping in and suspending him for the rest of the season. And now, of course, he's going to go back at the commissioner and try to get back in. What's your take on the situation from a legal standpoint and then as a fan of the NFL?
Now, from a legal standpoint, you've got the player policies and general policies of conduct that they have to adhere to. From a legal standpoint, the commissioner was correct. From a legal standpoint, the commissioner did what he was supposed to do. And from a legal standpoint, Peterson is doing what he's trying to do, which is finding a way, if you will, a vehicle, if you will, to overturn that suspension or exempt listing. You can put yourself in a position of Adrian Peterson, and you know why he's doing that. One of the greatest running backs of all time. But the fact of the matter is, just look at what he did. And consider the fact that he essentially pled guilty. And consider the fact that he's a public figure. And consider the fact that while he's being afforded his due process, he's not willing to abide by it. He just wants to just find a way to play football, even though he has broken the law.
Well, he's trying to play football and collect that $4 million salary that's left. Roger Goodell said there are aggravating factors, the repetitive use of the switch, and Roger Goodell also said he felt no meaningful remorse. I mean, that's pretty strong, don't you think? Stephen, did we lose you? I think we lost Stephen.
Corrected for their acts, they were punished this way. To him, it's acceptable conduct.
Right. Well, now you see his comments today. He did a piece in USA Today. He's spinning that back a little bit. His attorney is Rusty Hardin. I remember him from the Roger Clemens cases. What is your take on Rusty Hardin? Is Rusty Hardin considered one of the best attorneys in the country, or is he just built it because he's gotten some celebrity clients?
I think it's all about celebrity clients. I will not comment or critique another attorney's abilities or capabilities, except to say that I know that there are many, many great attorneys out in the United States, and Rusty Hardin clearly has a good reputation. I'm sure he's doing the best he can. I just don't think that this is being handled the right way. I would handle it differently.
How would you handle it?
Well, I would immediately go to the federal courts and get a declaratory judgment action commenced and try to get the NFL to, by way of a preliminary injunction, to stop what they're doing and allege different kinds of violations under different kinds of theories dealing with contract. I just think that this is being handled. In my opinion, I would handle it differently. Whether it's right or wrong, I would handle it differently.
So Roger Goodell, though, I feel with all the heat coming down on him this season, it's interesting that would he have done the same thing if this was last year when the whole Ray Rice incident didn't happen?
Well, you see, you got a difference of opinion here, and the reason there's a difference of opinion is because Goodell really serves at the pleasure of the owners. So one can perceive or consider that Goodell is really going to do what the owners want him to do, and that there's no real independence. That's one perspective that the players will throw out, and that's what the union is now saying to some extent when they want an independent arbitrator, so to speak, or mediator to deal with the situation, because they're afraid of this bias, this protection of the owners. The fact of the matter is, whether the owners are protecting Goodell or Goodell is operating at the whim and fancy, so to speak, of the owners is sort of not the issue. The issue is really that Peterson did something wrong. And he admitted he did something wrong. And shouldn't he be forced to pay a penalty for that? As a lawyer with due process, I think so.
Well, in the Players Association, they agreed to make the commissioner the judge and the jury, and now they want to bring an independent arbitrator in. I mean, again, I guess in the country you could always do whatever you want, but isn't that what it's all about? That in their Players Association deal with the NFL, that Roger Goodell is the guy who makes the decisions.
Larry, let me ask you a question. If somebody ruled against you, wouldn't you want a second bite at the apple and contend or complain that the way it was done the first time it's not up to snuff? Wouldn't you do that?
100% I would do it, but at the end of the day, you're a man of the law. If that's the law, that's what you agreed to. You could go through all that due process, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down that you guys agreed as a Players Association with the NFL that Roger Goodell makes these decisions.
Well, that's what the contract says.
Right.
It's contract law. It's basic contract law.
Right.
Which doesn't even address the moral turpitude that is going on by players such as Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice, and among others, Greg Hardy, Olden Smith, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's spread to the NBA as well, with a 24-game suspension. So what's happening is these celebrities, with all the money that they make, as well as the celebrities, by the way, in the entertainment, not sports entertainment industry, think they have a free pass, a credit card, do anything that they choose to do, whenever they do it, however they do it, to whomever they do it. And somehow, some way, society will look the other way. Bill Cosby's another example. I love the man as a comedian, a great guy. Right. I don't know if he's guilty or not guilty of these other things, but look at where we are now with Cosby coming out at 77. Right, this is ridiculous. Whether he's guilty or not, again, I don't know, and I'm not condemning him for it, because there will be a judge and a jury, presumably, to address these situations.
And of course, when there's smoke,
when does it stop?
Right, when does it stop?
I'm sorry?
How about, I was going to say when there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, you're in Europe, front page of the Post. We're speaking with Stephen R. Stern, Esquire from the Stern Law Group, one of the leading guys in the country, and that's why we have him on Sports Biz with LD, and we appreciate his time. You're in Europe. I mean, front page of the Daily News today is another woman who came out and said when she was with Bill Cosby many years ago, he did something to her. So, when you jumped on the NBA a little, we'll get back to, because I want to talk to you about Ray Rice, but now also Dwight Howard is being investigated for child abuse.
Exactly. Right. That was in the paper about Dwight Howard as well.
Yeah.
So that goes back to is there a free pass? Should there be a free pass? I don't think there should be.
There shouldn't be. And years ago there was, and the problem is everybody feels in this country that celebrities end up hiring, big-time attorneys and feel that they're going to help them get away with it. Let's move on. Staying in the NFL, isn't it a shame? Because you and I love the NFL, but this year is the year of all the bad things. Ray Rice, released by the Ravens. We've had you on before to talk about him. Suspended by the league. They go to an independent arbitrator, and we're all sitting still waiting for her decision.
I can't understand it. I mean, sometimes you go to a court and you have a trial, and you walk out of the trial. If it's a jury trial or a bench trial, and you walk out and you say, "I won." And sometimes you walk out and you say, "There's no way I'm going to win this after all the evidence is in." And when those situations happen, when you walk out like that, it's because it was clear and convincing, or beyond a reasonable doubt, or the burden of proof being smaller than that, in one lesser than that, if you will, in a civil case. But these are criminal cases,
Right.
and these people who are the arbitrators had to know, especially with Ray Rice, the facts going in, and had to hear the arguments. And what are we waiting for? Ray Rice may be, again, a great guy. I don't know him. He may be a great football player. Everybody can debate that till the cows come home. But look at what he did. This is on tape. This is on tape. The whole world has seen it. This is not a joke. This is not a game. And here we are. Now, what are we waiting for? I just don't know what we're waiting for.
Yeah, what else does this woman need in evidence to make a decision? And that's one of the problems in your business, where there should be some sort of timetable on decisions. But again, that's a whole nother show and a problem you guys deal with, right?
In defense of the legal system and in defense of the courts, there are timetables. The judges, for the most part, can and do abide by them. Generally, when it comes to mediation or arbitration, you set up the rules of the mediation or arbitration ahead of time, requiring the mediator or the arbitrator to rule within a certain period of time. I don't know if that happened in the Ray Rice situation, but the fact of the matter is, I don't understand why, from a legal perspective, the Baltimore Ravens haven't condemned him and haven't spoken out vehemently against Ray Rice at this arbitration. From what I've read, and can't say I've read everything, I haven't seen that. These are the people who paid him millions and millions of dollars.
And talked about that, right?
War.
And talked about in the beginning when you saw those interviews with them when it happened, that we're like a family. Well, if you're like a family, either embrace him or get rid of him, one or the other. So you're correct. I agree with you.
This glut of what we're seeing now brings to mind one of the greatest football players from a defensive side of football that recently retired, a guy by the name of Ray Lewis. Great football player. You can't deny that. Great linebacker, great intensity, well respected as a football player. Remember the problems he had? Yeah, he played football for how many years and was revered for how many years, and now as a commentator, and having been involved with murder somehow, some way, whether you want to think he was guilty or not, are you kidding me? That's what our society is saying is acceptable.
You know, you're so right.
But now you see the difference is with Aaron Hernandez. It's not the same. So maybe they're waking up a little bit. I don't know.
You know, it's interesting you're bringing that up, because we had in my opinion, the great Phil Munchnick on the show last week of the Post, and he brought up that those are just the kind of people that ESPN looks to hire. These kind of guys, like the Ray Rices, they don't look to find a commentator who might be intelligent and good at his craft. They're just finding all these kind of bad people. And then when these bad people will do something wrong while they're working for ESPN, they'll suspend them. Like they're surprised that they would do these kind of things.
And look, our society is built on the fact that everybody's entitled to a mistake and everybody should get a second chance. And I certainly agree with that. And sometimes it's a third or a fourth chance. Sure, because people are human and people do make mistakes. But the fact of the matter is, at some point in time, you got to pay the piper. And these people have to pay the piper. When I say these people, I mean people who commit these kinds of heinous acts. Abusing a child, beating up a woman in an elevator, killing people. I mean, and let's not excuse Ursay either for his drunk driving. I mean, it's not just limited to players. It's, you've got an owner of the Indianapolis Colts who's just as bad from a perspective of having committed a crime too. Right,
and was found with over 50 pills and prescription pills, and the players were looking to see what would happen to him. Yeah. I want to move on and get your take on another item. Alex Rodriguez, it was all over the papers now that he admitted to doing steroids in January, way back in January of last year, to the FBI in Miami. And then when I read in the paper that they were going back and forth whether or not to indict Alex Rodriguez in the whole biogenesis situation. Did you see that, Stephen? What is your take? Because they did say going back and forth, should we indict him, should we not indict him?
I don't know why they're going back and forth. Again, let's distinguish Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player, when he came up from the minor leagues as a great ball player. And let's distinguish whatever he's achieved, good, bad, or indifferent, with or without the use of PEDs. From Alex Rodriguez, let's distinguish it from Alex Rodriguez, the person. The person who gets interviewed, the celebrity of Alex Rodriguez. The man has flip-flopped so many times on this. He was on, I forget the guy's name, but I know you'll remember and bring it to mind, the radio show.
Mike Francesa.
Right, where he was asked a question, and it was on TV. Did you use steroids? And he turned around with a straight face and said, no. Did you use any PEDs? Straight face. No. And now he's saying yes. I mean, which one, Rodriguez, are we getting? The Monday morning yes guy or the Sunday morning no guy?
You know, that's a good. You know, Steve, that's a good point, because I had said after he was on Francesa's show, did everyone forget he was on Katie Couric on 60 Minutes 2-3 years prior and said the same, and she gave him the same question, he gave the same answer.
That's right.
Right? He was on Katie Couric.
Alex Rodriguez, again, I don't know him as a person, and I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but he needs to sit down and speak to somebody, straighten his personality out and his behavior out to understand who he is. I don't think he understands who he is. He's a celebrity who's making $20+ million a year. He's got a responsibility to hold himself up as somebody that people can look at and say, he's someone I want my kids to be like, i.e. Derek Jeter.
Right, but he's not. There's no doubt about that. So you're saying, you know, to hold you to it, you're saying that you would have indicted him, not even a question.
Yes. I would have indicted him for lying, period.
Yeah, what about perjury? Right. Can you just lie now?
Perjury.
Right. It's just amazing. You know something, Stephen? You got to come in the studio. You and I just got to sit down for a half hour and just go back and forth. I really appreciate you calling in from Europe. And, you know, I'm sure there's so many, unfortunately, because you and I love sports, all these kind of things to talk about with all these players doing, unfortunately, these horrific things to children and women. It's just a shame. So, Stephen R. Stern from the Stern Group Law Firm, we really appreciate you calling in from Europe.
It's my pleasure. I was having this exact conversation with a friend of mine, Roger Schlegel, the other night, and I just thought I'd like to shout out to him because he loves this stuff as well. And I got to tell you, there's so much we could talk about. Maybe we go back to the days of Larry Johnson, who had so many illegitimate children, but a great basketball player. How do you distinguish between those two things? I mean, we can go on and on and on. But again, I appreciate the time. It's my pleasure to be on. You let me know when you need me. I'm here for you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take good care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Stephen R. Stern, you know, he is our guy. Calls in whenever we need him. Again, calling in from Europe, and excellent at what he does, and is opinionated like most of us are in sports, and you got to love it. So, you know, the other thing is he brought up Larry Johnson, you know, Adrian Peterson, 6 children, 6 women. Let's move on. The segment we always have on the show, Off My Chest. There's a lot of things always every week to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is the record-breaking contract for Giancarlo Stanton of the Miami Marlins. 13 years, $325 million. Comes to $154,000 per game. Final 7 years of the deal pay him over $200 million. He can opt out after 6 years, which means after 6 years he could say, I'm out, and get a new deal with anyone. He becomes a free agent. Another smart move. At that point, he'll be 31. He's only 25 years old. Now, and he hit 37 home runs, so he is one of the premier power hitters in the game from the right side or the left side. He is a right-handed hitter. So where do the Marlins, who did a fire sale a couple of years ago when they got all these free agents, Jose Reyes, Mark Burley, to name a few, and then the following year, had them for a year, and the following year get rid of all the players. Now also in this deal, Giancarlo Stanton has a no-trade clause, meaning they can't trade him like 99% of the other players in Major League Baseball. They got to ask him if he can go to a certain team. Bottom line is this. The Marlins are getting him for $25 million a year, which sounds ridiculous, but it's a pretty reasonable price for the guy of this level. Then you're going to look at the rest of the team. They have Jose Fernandez, who is as good as Matt Harvey or better, also with Tommy John surgery. They got a nice team. But at any point in time, they can go to Giancarlo Stanton and say, listen, we want to trade you. And some other team is going to take him. Because $25 million a year is going to be a reasonable salary. Because today in baseball, it seems you're looking for the power hitters, the very good hitters, moreover than pitching. You know, it seems like there's more pitching around than there is hitting. And to me, I wouldn't give any of these big pitchers the big money. For what? Why? They end up breaking down. It ends up hurt you on the back end of the deal. And if you don't win a World Series with them, then was it worth it? I don't think so. The other concern I have with Giancarlo Stanton is last year in early September, he got hit in the face with a pitch. Severely. I mean, he had some damage. Is it possible that when baseball season starts again, because he never played again, that he'll get back in the batter's box and maybe that little fear will be in there and he will not be the same player? Many, many years ago, there was a player that was considered going to be one of the greatest players of all time playing for the Red Sox. I think it was 1967, right around there. Tony Conigliaro got hit in the face with a pitch, and that was it. He was never the same when he was out of baseball. So big move by the Marlins, which you don't know whether or not he's not going to feel as comfortable in the batter's box, and then he's not the same player. And, you know, to move on, like I was just talking about with the pitching, you know, there are rumors out there that the Yankees, let's bring them up because we always do, really don't have any interest this winter going after the big names and putting out big contracts. So when you hear the Yankees are throwing that out there, that means they will. There is no way they're not reaching out to Max Scherzer. There is no way they're not reaching out to John Lester. I don't care what they say. The Yankees are going to go after every one of these guys because the money doesn't matter. They're never going to get under that $189 million tax, payment. You know, they're trying to say a salary cap, but for them, where you have to pay Major League Baseball a big tax on the monies over that. They're never doing that. Okay? And not making the playoffs 2 years in a row, you will see. Just like last year, they're not doing anything. All of a sudden, they give Jacoby Ellsbury one of the dumbest contracts ever. I'm sorry. The guy's not a $20 million player. I've said it many times on this show. When I hear $20 million plus for a player per year, there's one word I got to hear. Superstar. And he's not. That is a terrible contract. Then they went out. Who else did they get? Well, Brett Gardner wasn't bad. They let Cano go for those kind of numbers. I don't know. Robbie Cano is probably one of the best hitters in baseball. Then they go sign McCann. Okay, let's see what happens with McCann. He didn't play great last year average-wise, but still ended up okay home runs, still ended up okay ribbies, and they try to say he's a great game manager. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm not dissing the guy, but you put the guy behind the plate, I don't see why it's so brilliant to figure out what the guy likes to throw and in what positions. You do your homework. You have coaches. They help you do scouting reports. When they sit here and tell you these catchers just great game managers, I don't even know what that means. Guys like to throw to them. What does that mean? They put their finger down and puts down the finger you like, so you like throwing to them? I don't know what that means. And then you have the Mets. Gotta love it, the Mets. Sign Kadaya. Nice move. Now they're thinking, you think the Mets are going to stay Wilmer Flores at shortstop. You just know that. That's the way they're going to go. They're not going to go after anyone else. There's no one else out there. And Sandy Alderson feels he's got the team he likes. You never know who else is going to come out of spring training. You need one more bat. And the Mets are close. I really think that every team, except maybe the Astros this year, with the amount of money in baseball today, and you can retool every year, and with the wild card, as you see this year, both one-game wild card teams made it to the World Series. Mets were probably less than 10 games out from making it. The Yankees were less than 5 of making the chance to get in, as they say in the NCAA tournament, the dance. I really believe every year, every team has that chance to make it to the playoffs. And I think that's a great thing for baseball. So to me, I'm not wasting it on these big contracts. For what? We didn't need to be saddled with these guys that end up not performing throughout the contract. They don't. It ends up you got all this money on the books and you feel you can't do something else because you waste the money on a guy. 25-man roster, that's how you win games. And baseball being 162 games, you just got to get to the wild card. That's how you're going to make it into the playoffs. And then it's anyone's game. Get a well-pitched game, couple of more well-pitched games, and there you are. Look at the Royals with their run, even though they got in not as the in-game, and then they beat the A's. They did. The Royals got it on the in-game. They beat the A's. I mean, what a World Series. Again, like I said, we had the two teams, the Royals and the Giants, both in the wild card, gotta win games. Gotta love that. Just like that, the show is over. I have so much more off my chest than I can't do. I want to thank our sponsors, Rampart Insurance Group, for all your insurance needs, rampartinsurance.com. Easy Pawn Corp, 15 locations in the city. You want to pawn something? Cash on the spot. A1 VIP Entertainment. For all your ticket and VIP meet and greet needs, they are the place. VIPentertainment.com. 388 Restaurant and Lounge, 388 Willis Avenue in Roslyn, New York. Want to thank the Daily Blue. Want to thank Stephen Stern for calling in. He is the guy. You're in trouble. One call does it all. Stephen Stern Law Group. Sports Biz with LD. You can find us on Facebook. SportsBizWithLD.com. At Sports Biz, you can tweet me. We'll see you next week.
Sports Biz is sponsored by the Rampart Insurance Group for all your insurance needs. Special thanks to MintPros.com. Brought to you by the Daily Blue Network. Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.